A collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever. That's 4 lines on unlimited welcome for just $25 a line per month with autopay plus taxes and fees. You'll also get the new iPhone 16 Pro, 4 of them for the entire family when you trade in up to 4 phones from our top brands. That's a new phone for everyone, only on the network you can count on. Verizon. Visit a store today. 20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Everwood Treatment Company, the official treated lumber of Alabama athletics. Everwood, wood treated right. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Here are thoughts from men's basketball head coach Nate Oates following Alabama's selection to the NCAA tournament on Sunday.
Yeah, so we're excited to be back in the NCAA tournament as a 2 seed. Obviously didn't play our best game last night, so we'll try to get the guys back going. We hadn't played our best game last year against Florida, though, in the SEC tournament, and bounced back, went on a 4-game winning streak to make a Final Four. So I've got confidence we can bounce back. We're hoping to get Grant back. He's going to see the knee specialist tomorrow morning and get a better idea of time frame on getting him back, but he is walking today. So just swollen, but, hopefully he'll be back by the first round. What do I know about Robert Morris? I played him when I was head coach at Buffalo. They had the same coach, Coach Toole. He's done a really good job there.
I'll have more in a moment.
Producing championship quality lumber is not an easy process, but at Everwood Preserving, it's our only process. Wood treated right. Everwood offers top-notch pressure-treated wood for decks, outdoor structures, commercial jobs, and more that you can build your reputation on. When it comes to quality, we're on the winning team. Visit your local Everwood dealer today and discover the difference for yourself. Everwood Preserving Incorporated, the official lumber of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Join us tonight for Crimson Tide baseball against South Alabama. First pitch from Sewell Thomas Stadium is scheduled for 6 p.m. Central, with our coverage on the network starting at 5:45 p.m. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Everwood. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Listen to UAH Charger basketball all season long.
So when we came out of the timeout, Coach Hedge had initially called a man play, and they ended up faking a zone. So the whole bench was yelling zone, zone, zone. So we tried to switch the play last second. We ended up getting confused. So Tommy swung it to me, and I initially was like, all right, I'm going to try and get to the rim right here. We're only down 2. We don't need a 3. And he flipped his hips real hard, and I crossed it back. And as soon as I let it go, I knew it was in.
Campbell to plug it in. 81-79 Union. Inbounds it goes. Dribbling it out from Tommy Murr. Swings it over to Campbell. Campbell on the wing for the lead. Oh, my God! Campbell! It's a 3! Into the front court for the win! No good! No good! No good! Blake Campbell with some onions from Jackson, Tennessee!
97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. We're back. We're live. We're brand new. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome in to the program. Be with you until 9 a.m. Of course, this hour brought to you by our good friends over at Talent Heating and Air. We're going to be joined here in just a second by UAH head coach Mick Hedgespeth. He's going to join us here at the top of the show as we talk UAH Charger basketball. Get into that here in a minute, but our good friends Talent Heating and Air. letting their talent do the work for you. 256-503-4490. Make sure you give the guys a call over there. Thomas, Terry, Jeremy. They've got a combined experience of over 40 years. They do stand by their commitment. They stand by their customers. Give them a call. If you can't give them a call, find them online. TalentHVAC.com. It's our good friends, Talent Heating and Air, helping us get started here on a Tuesday morning. As we mentioned, today is a huge day for college basketball in this state. Tonight will take to the court in the Shark Tank on the campus of Nova Southeastern as they will look to stamp their ticket to the Elite Eight. Something has to give tonight. Chargers come in winners of 32 straight. Nova comes in winners of 83 straight on their home court. Something will give tonight. And joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, the UAH Charger head coach, Mick Hedgespeth, kind enough to get going with us this morning before shoot around down there in Fort Lauderdale. Morning, Coach.
Good morning, Scott. How you doing?
We are doing okay. We're doing good. And congratulations to you. You nice work there in the first two games of the NCAA tournament.
Thank you very much. Before we dig into that, we really miss you down here. So I wish you could be here. I hear you like swimming better than us now. But
that is something that fell into my lap about 5 years ago, and it is something that it's something that is fun for me to do. But I miss being down there. Steve and I we did look for airline flights, but I tell you what, them suckers, they're pretty proud of those flights to get down there. So
they're very proud. My wife was looking to fly down today. 2 young kids at home, and yeah, they're very proud. So we're facing the same battle, but just had to give you a little bit of a hard time.
And it's and Nova actually, the Nova women actually won the NCAA championship. And so it was kind of fun because I did have the UAH pull over on there when I walked into the pool, and they were giving me a little bit of a hard time up there as well. But tonight's a big night, and it's a big night for this program. To get this far is special enough. I know this group is special, but it's a big night.
It's a really big night. It'll be 2 of the best teams in the country going head to head, and I think it'll be just a slugfest. They're just, the more I watch them, they're just so tough. That their pressure, they play in such a way where you can never relax for 1 second, it's just that they make it a game of constant pressure and putting you in uncomfortable situations, and they kind of do a great job of dialing it up and dialing it back. It's one of those, I felt like in some of our more recent games the last few days, we could, manipulate and play call and that type of thing. And I don't know how much of that you can do against Nova with their style. It's just, you got to really just trust our guys and trust our habits and the training and the preparation that we've built up to this point to be disciplined and make plays. It's a tall order going and playing at the Shark Tank where they've won 83 in a row.
Yeah. It's Coach, how much
we look forward to the challenge.
It's one thing lots of times when we're talking about facing Nova, you don't get to see them usually until you step onto the court for tournament time, and then it's kind of like a shock factor. How much do you take away from that first meeting that you can use? I know a lot has changed. The teams, you go through ups and downs, you mature a little bit as the year and you get better, but how much do you take away from that first meeting?
I think it's good and bad, probably a little bit more on the positive side, just because they're style is so unique that if you've never faced it or encountered it before, it can be as you said, a pretty big shock to the system. So we should know what to expect, although it's been a long time now since early November since we played that game. And it's something that, we didn't get to practice, really couldn't really go live very much yesterday, just with playing the 2 previous games and needing to rest. Whereas that first game we had, 3 or 4 days where we could really try to prep and try to simulate a little bit of their pressure and style and practice. The bad part is just like it's good for both teams for preparation purposes, right? So it's not like we're going to be able to have any, surprises or do many different things than we did the first time against them. It's kind of like, you go through the first round of conference play, and then that second time, both teams kind of make some adjustments. It's a little bit more lower scoring and defensive minded in some of those. So I think it's a double-edged sword there, but I am glad that we were able to play them and have that experience already.
It's been 2 efficient games. We'll call them efficient games. Florida Southern, on Sunday, great game. Blake Campbell, 26 points. Luke Burnett, 21. Tommy Murr, 21. Daniel Saylor, 16. But Matt Thurman, a career high, 10 rebounds in the win.
Yeah, Saylor got in foul trouble. We were smaller for a little bit more of the game with Thurman out there. And listen, we've talked about him a lot this year. He's delivered in a number of ways for us. Obviously, his shooting ability, he got off to great starts in our conference championship game against Valdosta, a great start against Tampa. And it didn't shoot it as well against Florida Southern, but he really impacted the game in a number of ways, particularly by cleaning up some rebounds. We still gave up 22 offensive rebounds, way too many, but he was impactful there. So I'm very proud of him. He's been really good for us, and we'll need all hands on deck today.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you look at it, Tommy Murr had a lot of success against Nova in that first game, in that first matchup. He was able to get to the rim. He was hitting from the outside, real game changer. What do you expect? Obviously you expect Nova to do their best to take Tommy away from you guys tonight.
Yeah, he had, I think, 41. Luke had 31 in that game, both career highs for those guys.
Yeah.
So they had 2 pretty special individual performances, and I think just with the balance of our team, again, we've talked about it, but seeing Tommy, Luke, and Blake all have 20 plus points in our game against Florida Southern, I think it kind of you have to choose a little bit. All right, who are we gonna deny one of those guys? Are we gonna, who's our best on-ball defender gonna be on? How are we gonna guard ball screens with each of those guys? Because all 3 of them, even though they have some similarities, they all are a little different as well, and really complement each other. So, we'll try to see kind of their strategy early and how they're guarding us and what we can try to take advantage of. But again, this game is way more about being fundamental and being strong with the ball and maintaining our spacing. So if they do trap us, we have outlets. We can't have, for example, 2 guys being close together and not in great spacing where they can be guarded by one and 2 guys on the ball and there's no one open. They're just really, really good at that. It'll like I said, I think we made 17 threes the first time we played them. It'll take being really tough, being defensive minded. I thought we guarded Florida Southern, especially in the first half, much better. I thought we had a good first half defensively against Tampa. Hopefully we can put together two better defensive halves where we won't need to make 20 plus threes to give ourselves a chance. But we'll just have to see how the game goes and go from there.
Coach Hedspeth, I was going to ask you, Drew DeArmond here. I know it's been so long since you played him. You played him the first game of the year, and so much happens in a basketball season. The basketball season, much longer than football season, much longer. I know baseball plays more games, but a basketball season is really a 4-month grind. But how much have you seen, your team evolve and change and theirs? Because a lot of times new guys like a Blake Campbell has now gotten so much more comfortable. Certainly he put on 15 pounds in the offseason to get ready for this, but he's become a huge part of this team. How have you seen your team change and improve? And then on the other side of the coin with Nova Southeastern, how have they improved?
Well, we've changed mainly from a personnel standpoint. I went back and watched that first game, and Griff Cooper's out there playing heavy minutes for us, and he went down with a season-ending foot injury. So we've had to be smaller at times when Daniel Saylor's out of the game. So that is a significant change stylistically, and on both ends from an offensive and defensive standpoint. That was Blake's very first game with us, and we're still all trying to figure each other out. I think going back and watching, I do think Daniel Saylor has made a jump since then, and just kind of understanding his role and what we want out of him. I think all of our guys have a better idea of their roles and how we want to maximize their strengths. And then Nova, it's the same guys. They haven't had any big personnel changes, but I just think they've just naturally gotten better at what they do, and they had no idea what to expect against us. It was our very first game. They didn't know anything about Blake or Griff or who we were going to play. It was my first game. They didn't know our style or any tweaks we may have made from that standpoint. So I think they will, be able to have a much more thorough preparation and game plan, and it won't be as much in game on the fly. Both teams will be able to have a little bit more of a firm plan, especially them, because again, we hadn't played to that point, and they had already played 2 games as they played in the small college Hall of Fame. So we had a little bit of a preparation advantage in that first one.
Obviously, you mentioned Daniel Saylor in foul trouble against Florida Southern. Imperative that he stays on the floor tonight.
Definitely. They have 5 guys who can spread you out and all shoot it and all handle it well, and so it'll be tough. It'll be different for him defensively. We've seen that before with several teams, Valdosta, Delta. At least it is some recent teams who have had that type of personnel and that type of style. Again, not to this extent, but somewhat in the more skilled driving five players who can all kind of dribble, pass, and shoot, and then that'll press you and get after you defensively in that mold. But yeah, it'll kind of be a battle of, all right, who can win out, them taking advantage of that matchup, or us using his size and even though they do have 2 of their guys are very big and very strong, and Riker Cesaric and Tyler Eberhard, and but can we take advantage of how they're guarding, and hopefully from a size and physicality standpoint. So it's kind of who wins out in that situation. But yes, he is imperative, just with the ability to put pressure on the rim offensively, protect the rim defensively, and clean up rebounds especially.
And I know the game was played in the hundreds the first time, Coach, and they do love to press and and up the tempo. But is it important for UAH to somewhat, I guess, control the pace, even though I have noticed in both of the wins for Nova, 76-64 and then 80-72, they haven't been as high scoring as you're accustomed to. But how important is the pace of the game tonight?
I think the pace is less important than attacking them. It's that balance of attacking them while being under control and taking care of the basketball and getting great shots. If they're going to be up and pressuring and doubling, if we can have a 2-on-1 and fast break and get a great shot, then we want to take it. But if we have to be more methodical and, continue to go action to action until we can get an advantage and it's below 10 on the shot clock to get a good look, then we're willing to do that. But it's hard. Their whole goal is to speed you up, and that's what they do. They speed you up. They make you make rushed decisions, whether that be a turnover or a 50-50 pass, or you take a shot you're not accustomed to taking because you're off balance and you're worried about someone flying behind you or that type of thing. So again, it's just that balance of being aggressive, but also making sure we're disciplined.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys in that first matchup was you guys were able. Nova's going to go on runs; they're good. You guys go on runs, but the fact that you were able to sustain those runs and come right back with a run of your own, I think really helped set the tone in the first meeting.
Yeah, we talk in those games of just really trying to understand that's just how it's going to be. It's such a high possession game most of the time against this type of team that, being a 10-point game in this game feels very different than if it's a slow it down, grind it out type game, just because the pace. There's so many more possessions. Things can change so quickly. So just kind of understanding there's going to be that pendulum of swings, and we really just need to stay on task and just have our blinders on and try to just continue to make the next right play, and learn when we do make mistakes, or if there's an adjustment to be made, learn from that and just really be on task, and try not to let the emotions control any of your decision making.
And finally, for me, Coach, obviously, since the season started to unfold, I think everyone could see this potentially happening, but you have to get there. You have to, beat quality opponents. Certainly, you guys had to do that. You had to win 2 games back-to-back days, certainly on Saturday and then Sunday, to get to this point. And to play these guys. But I have to believe this veteran group, these seniors, are looking forward to getting another shot, even if it is on Nova's home floor.
Sure. I think this group of seniors, they've probably played Nova 4 or 5 times at least in their career.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know that anyone ever hopes to play Nova, right? But I think that we do understand the opportunity. I think we do understand it'll be a great challenge. But I think that they are excited about it, excited to be in this position, to play in this big game. I think they've earned the right to be confident. Both. But we talk about confident humility, right? We have so much respect for Nova, for their program. The more I watch them, I think, man, that is just such a smart way to play. At the same time, I think that we've, through our preparation, through our work, through our habits, as I mentioned, we are able to approach the game with confidence as well. So, we're really, really excited about the opportunity.
All right. Well, good luck, Coach, and have fun. Hopefully it's a fun evening.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the coverage, as always.
Absolutely. And it's a huge opportunity.
It is
6 o'clock tonight, Central Time, 7 Eastern over there at the Shark Tank. I think they've won 83 in a row, but there's always somebody to break that streak.
Something's going to happen. Either UAH is going to win 33 or they're going to win 84.
Yeah, both. That's a great point. I mean, both teams are on streaks. Certainly the home streak for Nova. I'll be blunt. I haven't kept up with Nova's regular season. I think they lost one game after they played UAH. So they're not on as long a winning streak, quote unquote, as UAH is, but they certainly are on a long one. And we talked about the home streak, but this is a UAH team that has won 32 in a row themselves. They've had 4 or 5 really close games where they found a way to win. That's what you're hoping to do tonight. You're hoping to put game pressure on Nova, get it to the last 2 minutes with a chance to win, hopefully with a lead. So you make them have to, chase you, so to speak. This is a very good shooting team for UAH, a very good free throw shooting team. You can't ask for a better opportunity. Ideally, Lynn was leading at halftime. If Lynn had upset Nova, you're playing somebody that's not on their home floor. But again, I think I would be shocked, to be honest, as old as this team is at UAH. And, Coach Hedgepeth just made a great point about played them earlier this year, but you've played them almost every year. I mean, it's one of those things. It's an opponent that you're very familiar with, a coaching staff you're very familiar with. So you're not going to be intimidated. I mean, you would know better than me how many years in a row this is for Nova hosting the regional. So they've been there every year. So you already know it's, but now this time you get to the finals. You're in the Sweet 16 with a chance to, win, go to the Elite 8 and end up in Evansville, Indiana. And then if you get there, you're 3 wins away, from a national championship. You basically, if you're winning tonight, you start over next Tuesday with the same kind of week you had this week. In other words, you're trying to play 3 games, and except the only difference is you'd be on national television if you're in the national the national title game.
Well, just so you know, Nova has not played a road game. They have not played away from home since February 26th.
Wow. And at the end of
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be their 7th game in a row now that they have been on their home floor.
On the Division II level, I'm assuming that the Gulf South Conference has these Super Tuesdays. Does everybody have Super Tuesday?
No. So what the Sunshine State Conference does is they do every other day for their tournament.
Gotcha.
But the higher seed always hosts.
Oh, so they're on their home floor.
So Nova then has been the number 1 seed in that conference. So they have played their home games they played their conference tournament games on their home floor.
So there's no playing on a neutral floor like the GSC does their last 2 games.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll have a little short segment. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Thomas Ricks from SportsMed, Dr. Thomas Ricks, going to be in studio. We'll explain it all here in a minute.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a couple of accidents working now. Had one on Neal Road at Marshall Road. That's on the Arsenal. That one did report as an injury type. And we got one, I think, at Maston Lake in Pulaski Pike. Sounds like it's going to be a no injury. Officers, construction workers, and first responders are putting their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tuscaloosa, we live by the blue-collar basketball motto.
Stepping back, deep 3.
Hard work.
2-on-1. Driving, stepping through. Shot, got it to go.
Teamwork.
Playing the song for the champions of the Southeastern Conference.
Join us for every game right here on your home for Alabama basketball.
Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Can't get a ticket? Never miss a second of Huntsville Havoc hockey.
It's to Alger. Alger back to Ruffin. Over to Buster. Who are you going to call? Buster Larson with the winner.
With the Havoc Zone. Only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app.
There we go. Might help if I hit the unmute button. It's been a little bit since I've been in here, so I got to get used to everything.
It actually went pretty well when I slid over and Jimmy Lay was in here. I only forgot like once.
Well, I'd never really do it. There's no
one
need.
thing that I did forget.
There's no need to do it. I just don't know why I hit that button.
Got in here. We were a few minutes early. We started, and then I couldn't hear anything, couldn't see anything. Didn't realize that the roadcaster wasn't turned on, so had to hit that button. John showed me how to hit that button. I didn't realize it wasn't lit up, so I just
gotta look like a Christmas tree. It's gotta look like a Christmas tree for it to work. But Dr. Rick's going to be in studio. We're going to talk some baseball injuries. And it's only fitting that we do this today because Major League Baseball is underway.
Yeah,
first game of the year.
Now, This
is the Tokyo series.
I was going to say, this is the one in Japan.
Yes. This is the Cubs and Dodgers.
Oh, shocker. Shotei the Great is
well, the Cubs have a couple guys too.
Is going to be on showcase.
And former Cub outfielder Kasuke Fukudome was the one to throw out the first pitch.
Oh yeah, I remember Fukudome.
Yeah, so he threw out the first pitch today. Why
not Ichiro, man? I know he didn't play on either one of these teams, but he's a Hall of Famer. And
I don't know. That's a good question. But right now, it's the bottom of the 8th. Dodgers on top 3-1. Cubs imploded in the 6th.
Yeah.
Gave up 3 runs, typical Cubs fashion. That's why we usually say,
I mean,
wait till next year.
What's the Dodgers payroll? $450 million?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break with this. I mean, they're just going to go out and sign Roger Clemens out of retirement and put him on a symbiote or something. Been watching all these Venom highlights. And he'll misremember having, taken whatever the hell he took.
Go get Doc Gooden.
Yeah.
See if he's got a fastball left in him still.
Yeah. I think one time I had a Doc Gooden rookie. How if he could have just stayed off of the Doja, man, or whatever.
I think it was
the white stuff.
I think it was the white stuff. Yes. He had a little bit of a problem.
The dude was 20 years old and was just a freakazoid.
Oh man.
I mean,
burst onto the scene.
84, 85, and 86, man. I mean, the Mets had so much talent. They should have won like 3 or 4 World Series, but we all know what happened.
All right. I tell you what, let's get that break in. When we come back, the good Doc will sit in the chair. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a couple of accidents working now. Had one on Neal Road at Marshall Road. That's on the Arsenal. That one did report as an injury time. And we got one, I think, at Maston Lake in Pulaski Pike. Sounds like it's going to be a no injury. Officers, construction workers, and first responders are putting their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center. Tired of that washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
It is that time of year. Time to get your brackets ready to go. Steve Moulton here with 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And again, it's time to test out your basketball knowledge. We are your home for March Madness, but also brackets as well. Simply sign up, head over to our website, 977ESPN.com, or our social media sites at 977ESPN on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. But head over to our website, and a link will be there for you to join in, 977ESPN.com. Our winner will get an overnight stay at the Lodge at Gunnersville State Park, a foursome at Cherokee Ridge, and $100 worth of food. We'll also have prizes for second and third place as well. It's our Bracket Challenge 2025 style. And head over to our website, 977ESPN.com, and sign up today.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome back in. We were talking with Coach Mick Hedgepeth there at the top of the hour. UAH Chargers, they're getting ready to take on Nova Southeastern tonight. You know, Drew, you know who the official medical provider is for the UAH Chargers?
You do, and I didn't do that great a job while you were gone. I did mention them pretty much every day, but yeah, I don't have the little the speech or the live read memorized like you do.
Yeah, it's Sports Med Orthopedic Center.
Surgery and Spine Center.
See, there you go.
There we go.
I set you up and you walked right through that.
No, I mean, I was waiting. Yeah.
They're also the official medical providers for the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
They are.
And you know what that has in common with us?
It's a lot warmer in Arizona than it is in Huntsville right now.
Absolutely. Dr. Thomas Ricks, kind enough to join us from Sports Med Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center in studio this morning.
Yeah.
Doc, before we get to talk baseball, though, you you've seen this UAH team in person several times.
Yeah, absolutely. We're the, like you just said, we're the official orthopedic provider.
Yeah, go ahead, Doc. Wait, I
Yeah.
had to learn how to do that
Yeah.
too. Just lean on in
Lean
there.
on in. Yeah, so I'm the team doctor for UAH, so try to make it to pretty much every home game for men and
Hey,
women.
does that mean that you're going to be able to, you know the right people, and you and Scott are just going to slide on some private plane and fly down there tonight?
You know, we might if we make the Elite Eight. So if we can beat Nova tonight, we might have to arrange that.
He knows West Neighbors type people. He going to slide on down. You might even have to pick up Mick's wife and the 2 kids and just slide on down.
Slide on, go. Let's go.
Yeah.
If we can get there by 5 o'clock tonight, somehow, some way, where
Well,
we can do the game.
I mean, just
Yeah.
throwing that out there.
But Doc, we wanted to bring you in this morning for a couple things.
Mhm.
And number one, obviously it's baseball season. Baseball season is underway. And I know high school baseball season is getting underway, and this has to be a tough time because number one, it's cold outside still. It's not real warm, and kids, I guarantee you, are fighting injuries, nicks, bruises, or something out there on the baseball diamond.
Yeah, baseball is one of those sports where it really is supposed to be a warm weather sport, right? And it's kind of been unseasonably cold at this time of the year for Huntsville. You know, we always think about baseball as in years past as saying that a lot of really good baseball players, especially hitters, come from the South, right? Because it's warm all the time. You can hit through the summer, play through the summer. And, juxtapose that with a lot of our best pitchers were always from the North because those are the guys that they were only able to pitch for a couple months per year when it was actually warm. And so in some ways it's really good to be down here where you can play year round for, especially for hitters and position players. But a lot of times for our pitchers, it's a little bit better to be from the North and have those time periods to shut down where it's too cold to go out. And right now our high school guys are having to get out there and pitch. And, a day like today where it's way too chilly for the middle of March, not a good time to play baseball.
Advice though for these high school kids going out and throwing right now in this type of weather?
Yeah, I think the big thing is really to warm up, right? And one of the adages that we use is really warm up to throw. Don't throw to warm up type thing, right? And so be intentional when you get out there before you get on the mound, when you're in the bullpen, that you're working towards that goal of you're getting out there, and you're going to throw, and you've got to get your arm warmed up, and before and after game, just make sure you're going through your range of motion exercises, your rotator cuff exercises. There's a great program online that MLB put out 20 years ago called the Throwers 10, and those are the 10 exercises that pretty much every pitcher needs to just use as a part of their general warm-up routine, their general arm maintenance. And so if you're sticking to that and you're warming up appropriately, you're going to do fine. This is the type of weather where it's, coaches are going to say, like, maybe we don't push you to try to throw a complete game. One of the things in spring training, and these guys are obviously gearing up for the regular season, but they don't have a single pitcher that goes past 3 innings. And they're in Arizona, right, where it was 85 and sunny every single day. And so I think that says a lot of how we protect our major league arms, and sometimes don't give the same due process to our high school kids.
And what Matt, a good example of that, and this is on the pro level, was yesterday with the Braves. I saw where Spencer Strider, who missed just about the entire season. I think he made 1 or 2 starts last year before he went down, and it wasn't even what I would call the normal Tommy John surgery. At first I I'm not even sure that it was the ligament was completely torn. If I may not be correct with that, but I think it was something to that effect where they had to still do something. But he, I think, threw 3 innings. I want to say he struck out 6 or 7 batters, and they gave him a standing ovation. But I think, like you said, Doc, I don't think he went over 3 innings though. So I'm sure he's going to ramp it up, during at points during the season. But again, I think that was his first appearance. It's pretty interesting to me though that I was just reading and looking at something for the University of Alabama. We are an Alabama affiliate. We carry their baseball games. I was there last year when their top arm, Riley Quick, big guy, 6'6", 250, he ended up in his first start of the year tearing his elbow up and the ligament, and had to have the Tommy John surgery. And he was back in 11 months. It's pretty crazy. Used to be that was a year and a half type injury. It almost seems with the advance of the medical science and what you guys do that these guys recover sometimes in under a calendar year, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So at this point, so Dr. Lyle Kane is the team doctor for Alabama. Right. And Dr. Kane and Dr. Dugas at Andrews Sports Medicine, which is where I did my training at, they really kind of revolutionized the UCL repair with internal brace. And so traditionally, like John Smalls type guy where you had just a full UCL reconstruction, an actual Tommy John, right? Now we have this where if it's not a full rupture, mid-substance rupture, if it's maybe just a partial tear at the origin, at the proximal part, which is like up top on the elbow. If that's the case, then really you can just go in and kind of suture it back down and use this suture tape, this internal brace, to kind of give it a little bit more structure, help that ligament heal. And those are the guys that are really coming back within about 10, 11 months, right? The full Tommy John as we know it, those guys are still missing a full year or more. And a lot of that's just rehab, but we've come a long way with the actual surgery, and that's great for players. But the Dr. Dugas and Dr. Andrews, they always kind of say that we're a little bit of a victim of our own success in this regard, that the surgery has gotten so good that kids aren't scared to get their elbows injured anymore. Right.
Really?
And so like people, we would have this where people would come in and say like, yeah, my kid, he's got a little bit of elbow pain. Can we just go ahead and get Tommy John? It's like, well, your elbow looks fine. Like you don't need surgery, right? But
want to be the Bionic Man or something here, but it's really not that.
There's this kind of pervasive myth that if you do get Tommy John, you're going to come back better. You're going to throw stronger. And in the original like data that maybe indicated that was really we were operating on high school kids, the kids that came back and were able to play baseball, which is not everybody. It's about 94% of kids.
Yeah.
But if you operate at 14 and you got 4 more years to grow, the number one thing that's going to make you play better is getting taller and getting a longer arm. And so if you grow up for 4 more years, you get taller, you're 18, you're going to throw faster, but it's nothing to do with having had Tommy John.
Are you surprised that these major leaguers now in today's game only throw 4 or 5 innings in a game?
I had a great opportunity to listen to John Smalls give a lecture recently on that. And I think there's a lot of it has to do with the players themselves and the players union, their contracts, and they're protecting themselves. A lot of it though is the current game of baseball, the modern game of baseball, is really just about velocity. And if you're a Greg Maddux type guy, John Smalls type guy, like you're gonna throw for a long time because you're not pumping out 96, right? I was watching Mississippi State baseball over the weekend, disappointing series versus Texas. But Evan Sierra got out there, and Evan Sierra really, he maxes out around 92. But he locates like crazy. He's got a great slider. And those are the type of guys that used to be able to go for 9 innings, do complete games. And they were commenting on the fact that like, you can still make it in baseball if you don't throw 95. And it's like, absolutely you can. And we see that in the major league all the time. And this kind of obsession with chasing speed has done some damage both to our players and their health, but also just to the game itself. A couple years ago we were just chasing spin rate. That's what we cared about, right? Like spider tech and all that type of stuff, right? And a bunch of the guys, like players union, was like, hey, well, maybe if we actually use these substances, it's going to reduce injury. Unfortunately, with that season, it didn't really seem that it made a big difference or not. But the tighter you're gripping your baseball, the tighter you're trying to throw. The body's not made to throw a baseball that fast, right? Like these guys are freaks. That's why we can't do it, right? And so, like, there does come a point where the body's going to reach, a level where it's not going to work anymore. With the UCL, that's the Tommy John ligament. We really have kind of two different types of injuries that you can have there, like gymnasts and soccer players and football players. Like Brock Purdy had it a couple years ago. You can have a traumatic UCL rupture where you're throwing, someone grabs your arm, and that's what.
Is that what Carson Beck had?
Yeah,
because he got hit and then followed through, and then his arm was just kind of hanging. And I think they ended up calling that a UCL. Doctor, is that what happened to him?
Yeah, based off of the reports that they had out, they called it a UCL, and you watch the play, and that's exactly what happened. That's what it looked like happened with Brock Purdy as well. And so that's an injury where someone is like hitting your arm, and we call that, so it's a valgus force and a varus torque through and that's all the engineers in Huntsville. That's what's going through that UCL. And that's just all of a sudden the UCL just snaps, right?
Now, is that, I want to ask about it because I've seen it happen more and more in football with quarterbacks. Is that a issue where it's a wear and tear over time and you take just the right hit and it tears? Or is it one of those things where the UCL has not been strained, but if you just take the wrong hit, it snaps?
Yeah. So there's a little bit of wear and tear with the football motion, but
right?
Nowhere near with baseball, right? And so most of it is like maybe the UCL is slightly weaker in those quarterbacks, but most of it is just that sudden force that does it.
Wow.
Versus a baseball player where it is really just an overuse, a wear and tear injury.
Wow, you just got back from Arizona. Dr. Thomas Ricks from Sportsman Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center sitting in with us now. Doc, you just got back from Arizona.
Yeah. So the Trash Pandas, we're a Los Angeles Angels affiliate, and they invited us out to Phoenix for the Cactus League to help with the minor league physicals out there. And we had a great time. We did physicals for about 200 of our minor league athletes, all from everywhere from our Rancho Cucamonga League and our low A team up to the Salt Lake City Bees, our AAA team, and the Trash Pandas, of course. And so got to see a bunch of Trash Pandas that were in minor league camp. Fortunately, we had about 11 guys from the Trash Pandas last season that were in major league camp this year too.
Wow.
So, got to watch a lot of them play in several of the spring training games. So it was a great experience. Really, really awesome time in Phoenix and with the Cactus League.
Well, and I wanted to ask you too, to go back to the Beckon injury and the football stuff. You've talked about the pitchers that it takes still about a calendar year after the surgery and then the rehab, and then they begin throwing programs. Is the same recovery time? Is it very similar in a football player and a quarterback and a UCL, or can they recover quicker? How's the recovery? What's the time frame?
So there's not this is a newer thing that's happening for football players.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I would think. It's something that I just started seeing maybe the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not a whole ton of data that we have on how to deal with these, but the general consensus at this point is because it's not a wear and tear, because you had a good good ligament beforehand, that you don't have to allow as much time to fix that essentially. And so whenever you do a UCL reconstruction, when you fully rupture it, most of the time what you're doing is you have a little muscle, a little tendon in your forearm called the palmaris longus, which doesn't really do anything. Some people don't even have that muscle.
Oh, wow.
And what you do is you take that and you make that as your new graft.
Oh.
And so that's a tendon that then has to form into a ligament. So it has to go through this process of ligamentation, right? And so that takes time, and that's really what a lot of the healing time is allowing the body to transfer that tendon into a ligament. with football players, though, because you're not doing the same motion, you can get back quicker because you're not having to put as much stress through there. Now, of course, if you get hit again, then that's going to do it.
Well, and so what you're saying is with a guy like Beck who got hurt in December in the SEC championship game, and then he missed the playoff for Georgia. He's since transferred to Miami, and as we know, going to end his career there. So he, in theory, if everything goes well, you have good rehab, he should be back for college football season.
Yeah, I think he may miss the first couple of games, but I would think by the ACC season start, he'll be back.
Wow, I wonder if the NIL will kick in for them.
Maybe so. Get him another year.
Yeah.
Oh, Doc, I mean, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming in this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's always great to talk about baseball, and
it is.
And injury prevention in baseball.
Is that your favorite sport? Is that, I mean, you cover a lot of sports. But
yeah.
Is that the one that you love?
I love pretty much any sport.
Right.
We were out at UAH lacrosse the other day,
Nice.
and even that's great.
Are you understanding that game?
Not really. Yeah, that was. I'm from Mississippi. I don't.
Well, he was talking about the maroon and white. So
Yeah,
I could tell he was on that side of the fence.
Well, he likes his Mississippi State baseball.
I would think so.
About the only lacrosse we had in Mississippi was Choctaw stickball. So I don't really get
with skaters.
Yeah. But no.
So are we a fan of Chris Lemonis?
Oh,
that's a tough question. I think we will always be indebted to Chris Lemonis for
the equity's running out.
Yeah,
bro.
It's running out quick.
They got swept by Texas in the first weekend.
And that Texas series was just so frustrating. The first two games with a lead late, gave up the lead in the top of the ninth in the first game, top of the seventh in the doubleheader on Sunday. You just can't do that. And it seemed like the year that Lemonis' first season, the COVID season, the year we won the national championship, those teams just knew how to win late games. And ever since then, we've completely lost that. And you have to wonder, is that just a product of those early seasons having guys like Jake Mangum and Rowdy Jordan, Tanner Allen, right? And then we just don't have those dogs anymore? Or is that a product of Lemonis?
Look at you slipping in the dogs.
There you go.
Look at that.
Hill State.
Well, I mean, and we had one of our listeners who he listens every day, and he's a baseball guy too. He gave us a stat that's pretty stunning. And I know you talked about Doc, just hearing that must have been awesome to hear from Hall of Famer John Smoltz, who's one of the he separated himself career-wise because he did both. He was a dominant starting pitcher, then kind of reinvented himself as a closer, and then came back as a starting pitcher to finish his career. But he said that last year in Major League Baseball, for example, Scott was talking about guys being 5-6 inning pitchers as starters. There was only 28 complete games last year. And for example, like in 1985, when I'm 10 years old, and that was the first year of the Huntsville Stars, how ironic. There were 622 back in those days, back during the season. So there was a lot more, premium on innings pitched. I remember, hearing pitchers talk about, the 200 innings. They wanted 200 innings out of you. And that's a number now that we don't see very often.
We have it where, like, if someone throws a complete game or 2 complete games in a season, they're a workhorse, right? Like, it's celebrated. And that was bad in the 90s, right? Like, it was like you only got 2 complete games out of your pitcher. And interesting, just to shout out John Smalls again, currently the only Hall of Famer to have ever had Tommy John surgery.
Wow,
which is kind of crazy. And that'll change over.
I don't think he's ever made the Hall, but I'm sorry. Back in my heyday, when I just mentioned the Stars, and I became a big A's fan because of them. And this guy came with it and played in exhibition games in Huntsville. He was never a part of the minor league system because he'd already been around. But taking the ball from a guy like Dave Stewart, it wasn't going to happen. He was going to say to get off his mound. It was going to be more Bob Gibson style, like, I'm finishing the game. I don't really care what you say, pitching coach. Like, I'm running the game. You're not. And that mentality is kind of gone. And I just think, to me, it does start on the prep level and the youth level. I think sometimes kids do get over pitched, because trust me, when I was in college at Alabama, I charted Alabama baseball games, because when I was in college in the late 90s, Alabama was only good at one thing. They were good at college baseball. They were extremely mediocre to bad in football, at least from a Bama parlance at that time. And then basketball was being rebuilt, but Jim Wells had it rolling, and it was routine, because I've got the book somewhere where I charted all the pitches. They'd throw guys like Manny Torres would throw 155 pitches in a complete game. And so that's just, I guess, and Skip Bertman was even known for that. Back in those days, it was gorilla ball days. They would just continue to throw guys. And I guess guys got hurt, and it kind of spooked some people a little bit.
I think there's definitely a part of that. Like, your pitcher's not as good at 95 pitches as he was at 30, right?
Right.
And part of that's analytics. Like, the game of baseball has changed so much.
Oh, no
because
question.
of analytics. And,
well, in every sport with analytics, almost.
It's and it's it's still one of the hardest things to do in sports is get a hit off of a professional baseball player, right?
No question.
But the analytics have helped so much, right? And that's you look at college baseball today, like, we still can do the shift, right? And that's because our pitchers aren't as good, our hitters aren't as good, and so like that's a play into, well, we need the defense to be able to do that. We outlawed the shift in MLB because hitters just aren't as good. Our pitchers are so good in the MLB that we need a little bit of advantage for our hitters. And, that's where it comes into, with analytics and all of that sort of thing.
Dr. Ricks, Thomas Ricks, kind enough to join us in studio.
Very entertaining discussion.
Well, I mean, it's stuff but look, there's stuff there right now there's softball, there's baseball, there's track. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now outside, and the temperatures keep going up and down, up and down. It's so hard to go out there and keep your body warm, keep your body loose. You think you can just go out there because you're lots of times 15, 16 and be invincible and just go out and do whatever, but your body still has to go through the right things to do, and you got to be able to know what to do.
Yeah, and we so UAH hosted the Gulf South Conference cross country meet a couple months ago, right?
Yep.
Had a great cross country team, and even though it was December and it was pretty cold outside, we still had a girl that had a heat stroke during that meet, and so cold is one thing, but you're still out there playing a sport. You still got to be cognizant of that.
Well, let them know how they can find you if they need you for any of those little bumps and bruises.
Yeah, so you can visit our website at sportsmedalabama.com or call our office. And I'm in the Huntsville location Monday through Friday taking patients. So come down and see us.
We'll do so. I mean, I do. So anyway, good stuff. We've got to get a break in. Wrap up. We'll kick off hour number 2 next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Jacksonville State visiting Georgia Tech in a first-round matchup of the NIT today. The Gamecocks are 5.5-point underdogs at the Ramblin' Wreck, 140.5 the total. Tomorrow in the NIT, UAB, a 5.5-point dog at St. Joe's, while North Alabama is a 4.5-point underdog at Bradley, 144.5 the total. Alabama State today meets St. Francis at the UD Arena in Dayton, Ohio, in the first 4 of the NCAA tournament. Hornets are the 3.5-point favorite, 141.5 the total. The winner will meet the Auburn Tigers at a South Region first-round matchup Thursday in Lexington, Kentucky. For more, go to VSIN.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Kicking off hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Hour 2 brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center.
About like my car this morning.
You're going to have to take that to the shop.
These computerized cars, I don't know.
You're going to have to take it to the shop.
I don't know, man. It's just.
You just got the car. You need to take it to
It's been 4 months. I don't know. I haven't had an issue, like tons of issues, but everything's computerized now, man. I mean, you're going down the road. You're 5 minutes from Bridgestone Arena. Then your back locks up. You can ask Brett Beard. I hope I didn't, get an FCC fine on his radio station because he was trying to do his show from the car. And then, something was said because my car locks up for about 30 seconds. I don't know what the hell it was. Just hear this noise. And then this morning, my car's not unlocking. I don't know what the hell. I mean, this computerized stuff. I don't know.
It got you all tied up like a big freaking gordita.
Yeah, well, I don't know about a gordita, but just trust me. I wasn't in a good mood this morning.
Well,
but the doc helped me there.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Well, he's not. I mean, and the thing is, though, he's very good at what he does.
He is. I mean,
who's also in a pissed off mood?
Florida Gators probably, but they're in a good way.
The West Virginia governor.
Oh, Lord. I saw all this.
Did you see this?
Yeah, we're going to sue people and all this stuff. Give me
Patrick Morrissey. He's pissed off.
I know.
Because West Virginia, he said, and I quote, this is what he said. He reads that he's pissed off at the National Corrupt Athletic Association.
Well, the team
because it's a miscarriage of justice and a robbery at the highest level that West Virginia did not get in to the NCAA.
The bigger robbery is when you're told you're in a tournament and then they take you out of it.
That is the other issue.
That's South Alabama. They've got a bigger bone to pick.
So here is what happened with South Alabama. Okay, so they win the. They win the what conference? I get them all. Sun Belt.
They won the regular season.
They won the regular season title. So they go into the Sun Belt tournament and they lose in the semifinals.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, to Troy. Yeah, I mean, excuse me, to Arkansas State.
Richie Riley, the head coach of South Alabama, they're sitting there. They're hoping. I mean, they're hoping that they can get a postseason invite somewhere because there's the New Look NIT, there's the CBI, which is not affiliated with the NCAA.
No, and then we already talked about it yesterday. There's 4 other teams from the state that are in the NIT.
Yes.
Because you had Samford.
Yep.
You had UNA because we talked about that quite a bit. UAB, absolutely. Yep. And there's just, and like we said, and quite frankly, I totally glossed over my mind that South Alabama wasn't in the NIT. I'm like, wait a minute, because it's been such a great year in our state for basketball. You saw that we had 4 in-state teams.
They were 21-11.
Yeah,
it was their final record.
Right.
So they were sitting there. The NIT calls them and says, "You know what? We had another team that chose to play in another tournament, the CBI, which is not affiliated with the NCAA. They chose to play in the CBI. There's a spot open. If you want to go, it's yours." South Alabama accepted. Few hours later, the phone rings again. It's the NIT. UC Riverside was the team that originally accepted a CBI bid. They changed their minds, does UC Riverside. They want to play in the NIT. So the NIT has to call South Alabama back and say, our bad. Sorry. We actually don't have a bid for you in the NIT. Sorry.
I mean, that's horrendous. Like UC Riverside, they should have just told them it was too late. Because again, like we said, Jack State, Samford, UAB, they all these teams had great years, and they all got bids into the NIT, and rightfully so. I mean, because Samford had a really good regular season, no question about that. Jack State made the finals of the CUSA tournament here in Huntsville.
Yep,
they had a great year. They
won the Conference USA regular season.
Right.
Did Jack State? Yes.
Yes, they did. They tied for that. They were the number 2 seed, but they tied for it. There's no question about it. And so to me, it was just, I was really just disappointed that happened. That because again, when you have Jack State, UAB, Samford, I mean, when you have all these teams that had outstanding seasons, they get a chance to play in the postseason. I just felt like South Alabama was in that group, and we talked about how in UNA they got the bid, but South Alabama had as good a year as all those teams did. And for our state's sake, I mean, especially there's some Power 4 teams that aren't interested in the NIT. Some of them are more interested in retooling with their NIL and going into the portal. But schools with what Richie Riley was going through to get into this season, there's pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, he was trying to, continue to be the head coach. He needed a good year. He had one. He got a regular season title, which is a big deal. You're going to hang a banner at South Alabama. And then you think, okay, it's disappointing. We didn't get it done against Arkansas State, who's in that NIT field, but you're going to get a chance to still play in the postseason, and then to be told, okay, you're in, and then to get a call back.
Nope.
To me, that I've never even heard of that. To me, that's just completely ridiculous.
All right. Well, we're going to talk more about all that here coming up later in the show. Right now, probably the hottest team
in college
basketball right now. And you know how they always do these predictions of, okay, if you're ranked inside the Ken Palm in this, and if you're ranked inside the Ken Palm on offense and defense, you have a shot of winning the national title. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of these teams that meet the criteria. One of them is the Florida Gators. And Ken Palm right now, they are first in offensive efficiency, and they are 10th in defensive efficiency are the Florida Gators. Those numbers put Florida in there as a potential national championship winner in college basketball.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking them for the Final Four. I know that. They're playing outstanding basketball. I've seen just about every team either live or on TV in the Southeastern Conference. And I said this after the SEC tournament, that Florida is the only team, in my opinion, that's definitively better than Alabama. Our next guest does a great job for the Gannett News Service covering the Florida Gators. He's covered them for years. He did take a little sabbatical and go cover Indiana for a couple years. He's back covering the Gators, saw him in Nashville, and he's seen this team all year long and seen how they've evolved and gotten better. And right now, they remind me of the UConn teams the last couple of years, the way they've meshed and the way they're playing together. And Todd Golden's team is playing as well as any in the country. And we're going to talk some Gators basketball with Kevin Brockway right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Kevin, great to have you back on the show. How you doing this morning, bud?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I got back obviously from Nashville yesterday, and we'll be on the road to Raleigh soon, right? As Florida #1 seed in the West. Quite a season so far. 30 wins, 12 of their last 13. You're right. They're playing in, and like you said, the #1 offense right now in the country per KenPom, and that was on display certainly in Nashville over the weekend. How they pushed the tempo and definitely managed to pull away from all three teams that they face. All teams that are, Alabama 2 seed, Tennessee 2 seed, Missouri 6 seed. So they weren't facing chicken liver out there.
Was that the most complete series of games you've seen Florida play this year?
Oh yeah. I think it's all come together. The depth, the chemistry. It's interesting because one of the perks of the postseason obviously is for us as journalists is for some of us that are fortunate enough is getting to sit a little closer to the floor. And you could just see it. I mean, you could see the ball whipping, you could see the energy, you could see the chemistry that this team has a lot more close up in terms of how they make the extra pass, how they look for each other. It's really a throwback group. And when I look back to Florida's best teams, the 06-07 team had that, the 2014 team had that. It's just that chemistry. And basketball is a continuity game. And even though Florida is a transfer-built roster, Will Richards is a transfer that's been there for 3 years. Walter Clayton is a transfer that's been there for 2 years. Alex Condon and Thomas Houck are in their second year of the program. Denzel Aberdeen is a 3-year player. So I think you've got a little chemistry there, too, that's starting to show in terms of, these guys just basically knowing where one another is on the floor. I think that works really well on the offensive end. But just the athleticism, the depth, the ability to push the basketball was really impressive over the weekend.
Well, and then I just think the thing that I've noticed, and this shows how good this team is, though. Think about it. I mean, I still say arguably their biggest win of the year was in Neville Arena. They did that by 9 points, and they didn't have Elijah Garrison, who has fit in seamlessly since he came over from FAU. He's not the shooter maybe that Walter Clayton is, but he's a freakazoid athlete, great defender, and just seeing him floor level, his athleticism just really sticks out.
Yeah, and Elijah Martin has really brought a toughness kind of an edge. Yeah, to the defense, Drew, in terms of he's just got they call it kind of like a dog mentality.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy who was a former All-State quarterback, dual threat quarterback in Mississippi, Pike High School in Summit, Mississippi. So he's got some toughness to him. And Walter Clayton was a former football player too. He was safety in Lake Wales.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So these guys, they're tough, they're athletic. But they're also pretty skilled, and certainly they play well together. I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. obviously was the SEC tournament MVP. He hit a lot of big shots in that tournament. I mean, Tennessee was making a run. You got those creamsicle clad fans going crazy there. It's basically a road game. And
I call it puke orange, by the way,
Tennessee,
Kevin.
a couple of times Tennessee cut it to 5 and 6, and they're all yelling and baiting at the refs and so forth and everything. And Clayton really, a couple of those shots were just really, really big. And you've got guys on this team that aren't afraid of the moment as well.
You look at this Florida team, and I mean, there was a lot of expectations surrounding this year's squad, but for some reason throughout the year, they just kind of flew under the radar a little bit. I mean, I know they were in our eyes because you see the Southeastern Conference a lot more. We see it a lot more. So in our eyes, we were paying attention to Florida, but you look around the rest of the country and it was kind of like, okay, it's a great story, it seems like. But now it seems like they go from that image of being a great story to being really one of the most talked about teams, most potential teams to win a national title.
It's interesting because they came into the season, I believe, kind of a borderline top 25 team.
Yeah.
They went 13-0, but some of their non-conference games, because the ACC was down, you beat Virginia when Tony Bennett leaves right before the start of the season. So Virginia is not quite the same. You beat a North Carolina team in Charlotte thinking that's a signature win. But then North Carolina has the kind of season it has under Hubert Davis. So I think that kind of factored into it, that they didn't have, obviously, the strength of a non-conference schedule of, say, Auburn. Not necessarily their fault, but it's just the way it kind of worked out. And then, you go into conference play and, they lost their conference opener to Rupp 106-100, and I'm thinking, all right, well, this is a team that doesn't play very good defense again this season. They're just going to have to outscore teams. But from that point on, I think the turning point was, when they came home, Tennessee #1 in the country, and they beat them 73-43. That kind of showed me, all right, at home they can play really good defense. From that point on, 14 SEC wins, and a historically difficult SEC this year, finishing second to Auburn, and then winning the SEC tournament just kind of shows, the caliber team that they are.
Well, and then I got to give Todd Golden and his staff a ton of credit. They lose Zion Pullen, who came over from UC Riverside. I thought he was a really good player for him last year. But, they get Elijah Martin, who may be an even better fit, and like you said, an even better defender, gives them – and the thing about him, with watching him and especially Walter Clayton, who's my favorite player in the league, honestly, is they're big, strong, physical guards, and they and you can tell they look like football players, and I mean that in a complimentary way. And they have those kind of twitchy athletic traits. But I also want to give them credit for going out and making themselves deeper, getting Ruben Chinelu from Washington State, because seeing him up close, that guy he knows his role. He's not a guy that's going to be shooting the basketball from 10 feet and out. He's going to be around the rim. But the amazing thing is the ability for this team to hit the offensive glass. And, of course, there's always, it seems to me, when you watch a basketball team in your rotation, there's a guy you always say, weak link. Like you say, if this guy's in there, you can exploit him. The 9-man rotation that Golden has, with Henlockton healthy now, they got 4 bigs, they got 5 guards. I don't see a weakness on this team right now, Kevin.
Yeah, and that depth, like you said, plays really well, that you can bring in guys and not have a drop-off. I mean, Tommy Houck, my opinion, probably should have been SEC Sixth Man of the Year. I mean, it was close between him and Caleb Grill, and he's another guy that played with a little chip on his shoulder over the weekend. He comes in for a guy like Condon and Chinielu, and there's not much of a drop-off.
None.
I
don't think.
Hanlogden is a guy who's 7-1. I mean, I think he had 10 rebounds in 12 minutes in one of the games over the weekend. Maybe it was against Alabama. So, I mean, he's another guy, too, that is just an impact front court guy when he's in the game. So, and Denzel Aberdeen, is a guy who, hit a big three-pointer at the end of the first half of that Tennessee game. I think he ended up with about 11 points off the bench. So, yeah, you've got guys that can come in and step in, and you don't have that drop-off. And I think that's going to play well in March, that depth and that ability to, interchange and mix and match and deal with the fatigue and the foul trouble that's going to come the next couple of weeks.
How long do you think it took to get the pieces all lined, the depth and the rotation and everything? And how long do you think that actually took into the season for this to all kind of get cemented?
I think, as Drew alluded to earlier, I think it really showed up at Neville Arena, like that early February game, where you really saw it click and you really saw the rotation work to its advantage. Because I remember they trailed early in that game. I think it's 20-13.
Yeah,
and then
it was 10-2 as well. Yeah, they got off to a little bit of a slow start.
Yep. And then and Elijah Martin was hurt in that game, but they had enough depth to get by and score 90 points. And Denzel Aberdeen hit a big three, and Houck, I remember, got a big offensive rebound. There's some questioning whether it was over the back, but those are those 2 depth pieces that really showed up in a big play in that moment. That I think really like showed that, hey, this team is more than just a star player in Walter Clayton. It's more than just it's a sum of a parts kind of team here that. Works well together. And I think the best thing that they have going for them is just, as I mentioned earlier, just how unselfish they are. So the fact that they take joy in each other's success. And I know it's easy to say when you're winning, but, I think it's kind of a chicken and egg argument. But I think they see that by making the extra pass and by looking for one another, they're going to have more success that way.
Well, and I do remember, too, I call him the Slovenian rifle, but he's a true freshman. He had 3 threes in that Auburn game. I think he was 3 for 3 with 9 points. And so he really stepped up with, Elijah Martin out, and that's more of their depth. And another thing, another friend of mine that covers Florida extensively like yourself, he talked about one of the biggest keys of Todd Golden being successful so far in his tenure with the Gators in what he's done is he has a lot of ties to international recruiting, because this roster at Florida, it's not a bunch of McDonald's All-Americans, but they did a really good job of evaluating transfers, evaluating talent, and getting this team to fit together properly.
Yeah, no question. And I'm going to do a story this week about that roster construction and the impact of the international with obviously Alex Condon from Australia,
right?
Guy that had offers from St. Mary's, Utah, and Florida. And then Urban Klavšar, as you mentioned, the Slovenian.
Got it now.
The Slovenian rifle. I like to say Rock the Klavšar. That's my nickname for him. But he's almost like the Lee Humphrey from 20 years ago. This group, a guy that can get in the corner, hit threes, get on a roll shooting. He's a really nice player, and I think he's got a bright future too in this program as well. And I think as some of the guards move on, he'll have potential for a starting spot down the road.
Florida fans really falling in love with Todd Golden now, aren't they?
Yeah, no question. And I think that he's this is year 3 of the program, and I often say this, fans are only entitled to progress. And you look at where Todd came in terms of 16 wins the first year to 24, now to 30. I mean, that's what, a 8-win jump your first year, at least a 6-win jump your second year, maybe 8 or 9. This program's on an upward trajectory. And, the attendance figures, I think, showed at the end of the year, people are camping out in the O-Dome again. They really warmed to this program. Gainesville's really warmed to this program. And it should be an interesting run. And it's just a shame this year that there's no NCAA tournament site in Florida, because I think there would have been a really good turnout. But it'll be interesting to see if people make that 7-hour drive up to Raleigh and rally around this team, because certainly they deserve it.
Well, my final question is, what did Coach Golden think of the draw? Of course, he was expecting a 1 seed. They're going to be in Raleigh. As you said, you're headed over there. And they're going to get Norfolk State, but then potentially the 2-time defending national champion UConn in round 2. What was his thoughts on the draw?
Drew, we're going to get them later this afternoon, but I could tell you, it's interesting. I did kind of a bracket breakdown story. I think the most dangerous team in that region is Texas Tech, and what Grant McCaslin has done there, and JT Toppin, who's a Big 12 Player of the Year, really impact player. That's a very dangerous team. And then, of course, you mentioned UConn, which is interesting. Dan Hurley, this isn't one of his best teams, but, he is a 2-time defending national champion. And then also there's the St. John's factor, Big East champion, Rick Pitino, knows Walter Clayton, recruited him at Iona, knows the strengths and his weaknesses. So I think there are a few landmines along the way, but Florida, certainly the way they're playing right now, they're going into this thing with a ton of confidence. And I think that's going to serve them pretty well, through this run.
Well, we certainly look forward to it, and I think Florida's as good as any team in the country. Can't wait to read your coverage, and of course your story later this week on the international recruiting of Todd Golden. But let everybody know how to follow you, Kevin. Yeah,
at Gatorsports.com, at Gainesville.com, and at Kevin Brockway G1. Here we go. An interesting aside, Drew. Florida's won 5 SEC tournaments in school history. I've covered all 5 of them. So, maybe they should consider putting a statue of me outside the O-Dome.
That's one of those stats that doesn't show up when you talk about the Ken Palm ratings and all that. This
is right up your alley, Scott. If you want to know any great place to eat in Gainesville,
that's the way to go. That's the way to go.
That's how I met the man.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Brockway helping us talk a little Florida Gators. Let's get a break in. Talking Ball returns.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck reported in Limestone County now, 31 at Rosie Road. Sounds like it's a no injury. One on the Parkway at University. Looks like it's northbound. It reported as a no injury. Got one reported westbound on 72 on Chapman right before it starts 565. And we got Gordon Terry and West Morgan in Decatur that still may be trying to clear. RESPECT is coming. Shoal Scholar Dollars is bringing the celebration of the music of Aretha Franklin to you Q&A on Monday, March 31st. Tickets at ShoalScholarDollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. March Madness is here, and it's time to hoop it up at Baumhauer's Victory Grill with our Slam Dunk specials. It's nothing but net with a pound of our world-famous wings. Tip it off with our party-ready trays, including traditional wings, buttermilk fried chicken tenders, and hot lips, to name a few. Want a cold beer with those wings? How about $7.99 pitchers of Yingling served all day, 7 days a week? Break out those brackets and bring the gang to the best watch party place in town, Baumhauer's Victory Grill, the true king of wings.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. And Kevin Brockway, when he was talking to us, he made a good point. And it's similar to Auburn. It's similar to, I think, Alabama even last year. And the fact that when you go out, and we've seen it on the football side.
Yeah.
When you go out and get a bunch of transfer portal guys, and Florida does have a lot of transfer. Ole Miss has some guys, football-wise and stuff. It's that first year that's always kind of rough. You know, it's like you're adjusting still, and yes, you can have some moments, and you have teams that do have success that first year when you get transfer portal guys. But lots of times it's the second and even the third years in the program, if they are there for 3 years, where they have success. Janai Broome didn't walk on the Auburn campus and start having success his first year at Auburn. He was okay.
He was good.
But he exploded year after year. And now this is third year in the program. And Florida's the same way. A lot of these guys last year were in the Florida program and they were decent, but they've exploded in their third years or even second years within the programs.
Well, it was interesting. Saw a story on SEC Network on Jonah Broom and his journey. And as everybody knows, he spent his first year at Morehead State in the Ohio Valley Conference. And ironically, in that 21 season, Auburn had a great year that year. That was when they got Walker Kessler out of the portal. And he ended up being really the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, becoming a first-round pick of the Utah Jazz. And then Jabari Smith. We know Jabari Smith was SEC Player of the Year and basically became the third pick in the draft. Nearly was the first pick, but he had a great year. And that's basically how they saw Jonah Broom. They played Morehead State, and Jonah did a nice job. Now, of course, Auburn won the game and won it impressively, but Jonah Broom proved that he could play with the big boys and showcased much of the offensive game that you see now at Auburn. Now he's expanded his range to the three-point line, certainly gotten stronger and matured as a person because, as you pointed out, Scott, I mean, this is 3 years in the program for him at Auburn now. This is his third year. But that's how, when Auburn was rebuilding their roster, because they knew Jabari Smith was going to be a one and done. And
right.
And they I don't think they were as positive about that until maybe halfway through the year about Walker Kessler, because Walker had not played much at North Carolina the year before, but it soon became apparent he was a starter, having a great year. Auburn had a great year, much like this year. Not quite as good as this year, but still, they were at number one in the country at one point in time, the best team in the SEC at one point in time. And so they found Jonah Broom because they knew they were going to have to replace, two bigs. And he's gotten better each year with the player development at Auburn, no question about it. And he's become a guy that, the reason he came back the last 2 years is because he wasn't considered draftable because of the way they judge most bigs. And I think he wanted to expand his game and prove he could be a stretch 5, stretch 4, so to speak, and probably will be, or it should be, definitely draftable this year. We'll see how high that he goes, but he's had a hell of a year. National Player of the Year by the Sporting News, probably going to win more of those awards, certainly the SEC Player of the Year. But it just goes to show you, how the transfer portal can affect you in a positive way if you evaluate it correctly. Auburn also brought in Denver Jones, Miles Kelly. Kelly, this is his first year with the program. Denver, it's his second year.
Yes, but they're settling in. That's the whole thing.
Denver's even settled in as a point guard, which not a lot of people thought would happen, because on the other side of the coin, Auburn brought in J.P. Pegues from Furman, and he didn't fit. Yeah. He doesn't even play. So, but Denver was able to continue to get better and do a nice job. And so, and then Auburn kept some core guys like the Chris Moores, the Dylan Cardwells, who are basically have been, Auburn guys their entire careers, which is very unusual in some ways in this kind of in the transfer portal era. But they certainly are key role players who are very, very comfortable in their role. And then you bring in a freshman like Tahad Pettiford, who really, he had his worst game of his career, I thought, against Tennessee. It's the reason Auburn didn't win, but he'll bounce back. He is, very, very likely to be if Auburn makes a run to the Final Four, he's going to be a huge part of it.
And we mentioned, and we were talking about this during the break, that lots of times when you spend money in the NIL, it doesn't guarantee you that you are going to have the success. Kansas State, they were one of the top 5 teams in spending money this year in college basketball, didn't even make the NCAA tournament. Indiana, now remember, there was a lot of talk about Indiana. Should they have gotten in over North Carolina? But they spent a lot of money, didn't get in. Heck, they even had to fire their head coach because they didn't have success. Yeah, and then Arkansas, we all know what they did when John Calipari gets hired there in Fayetteville. Went out, Tyson,
John Tyson
wrote a blank check and said, go spend a lot of money, and they did. Barely makes it into the NCAA tournament. Those were 3 of the top 5 teams that spent money in the NIL this year and barely and in some cases don't even get in to the tournament.
Bruce Pearl's emphasis, I think, was mostly the last couple of years on retaining his players. Now, they did add a Miles Kelly and a Denver Jones the last couple of years that were two really big pieces to the puzzle. And then we've seen a KD Johnson move on.
Yeah.
He's at George Mason there in the NIT, but he's had a really good year there. But it's always some give and take. Alabama moved on from Nick Pringle. He went to South Carolina, had a decent year, but they brought in different players. And you in this portal era, that's just going to be how it is year in and year out. I mean, you're still going to have a balance where you bring in some high school players, but you're also going to have portal guys. And so, because there's already guys hitting the portal, because you just mentioned it, your Fran McCaffrey at Iowa gone.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a coach. Iona. Iona. That was just 2 years for him.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to replace a guy named Rick Pitino. Not really easy to do. UNLV with Kevin Kruger. He got dismissed after 3 years. So, and we'll see what happens with Rodney Terry. A lot of people had Rodney Terry getting the zig, but now he gets in the NCAA tournament. We don't think he was getting fired this year, but Hubert Davis probably going to be feeling some heat going into next year.
Well, it looks like West Virginia might be needing a new head coach.
Oh, they're breaking news.
There's not breaking news, but Darren DeVries is rumored to be the number one choice for Iowa.
I thought you were breaking some news.
No,
there.
not yet.
Well, I mean, he's also in the mix for Indiana potentially,
right?
Because I don't think Brad Brownell is anymore. From insider Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68, his name has come up. But
DeVries has a lot of ties to Iowa. His brother was an All-American football player at Iowa.
Right.
His family, I mean, they're all from around that area. So I mean, this is like coming home. I mean, he's not an Iowa guy, but he's an Iowa guy. So let's get a break in. When we come back, it's time to get to the phone calls. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck on the Parkway northbound. They've got the number 3 lane blocked off. Got a couple of big trucks involved in that one. It's right on the ramp where you exit off to go to University Drive. At westbound 72 on top of Chapman, that's right before it becomes 565. 31 and Rosie Road in Limestone County, and Gordon Terry and West Morgan in Decatur all may still be working. The 41st annual Bloomin' Festival, Art, Craft, Music, and Food Festival coming up on April 5th and 6th at St. Bernard and Coleman, a Southeast top tourist event with over 150 artists and craftsmen. You could win a 2025 Buick Encore GX at the Bloomin' Festival, St. Bernard in Coleman. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. The Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain on your home for Alabama basketball.
Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
It is that time of year. Time to get your brackets ready to go. Steve Moulton here with 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And again, it's time to test out your basketball knowledge. We are your home for March Madness, but also brackets as well. Simply sign up, head over to our website, 977ESPN.com, or our social media sites at 977ESPN on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. But head over to our website, and a link will be there for you to join in, 977ESPN.com. Our winner will get an overnight stay at the Lodge at Gunnersville State Park, a foursome at Cherokee Ridge, and $100 worth of food. We'll also have prizes for second and third place as well. It's our Bracket Challenge 2025 style. And head over to our website, 977ESPN.com, and sign up today.
We are your home for Charger basketball.
Tommy Murr swings it over to Campbell. Campbell on the wing for the lead.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Yeah, I printed this out for you this morning.
Oh, yeah, you're the one that printed the bracket here?
Just so that you could have the times and the network and the locations.
I didn't see that until just now. I'm glad you pointed that out, because most of these brackets ain't got the times on there.
I gave it so that you could have all of it on there. So when you can take it home or whatever, and you can just watch it and figure it all out. Let's go out to the phone lines. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, guys. Y'all were talking about Smoltz earlier.
Yeah.
So if you take a look, he won 14 or more games 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
And in 96 and 97, he had the most innings pitched by any pitcher in baseball, and he won the Cy Young in 96.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 years, he pitched 483 in a third inning and had 33 starts in 97.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, pitchers won't ever come close to those numbers now. I mean, you look at the innings of like Nolan Ryan, Greg Maddux.
Well, look at Garrett Cole now. I mean, he's done. Like,
yeah,
and they had a long postseason run, and now the postseason's even longer. It's an extra round, and then the Yankees got to the World Series and gagged on it. But still, I mean, he led them to the World Series, and already at the end of spring training, he's out for the year because of his elbow, and now the Yankees are scrambling, and Max Fried will have to be the ace of that disgusting organization.
You remember, what was it, 2012 when they shut Strasburg down?
Steven
after
Strasburg.
he had the Tommy John.
Right.
Like that was the beginning of it right there. Like the major change in them doing that. And I know he retired last year, and they said, he wouldn't have been the pitcher.
Oh, Strasburg did? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That kind of thing. These great players, man, I just don't ever pay attention to it. And then all of a sudden they're just gone. Like it seems like they dominate for a while. And then Josh Hamilton, for example, when he came back from all his substance abuse, he came back and got to the top of the game. The Rangers were 1 out away from winning that World Series that they finally won, 2 years ago. And all of a sudden he was gone. So it's just one of those things. They seem like they're like comets, man. They have, some of them have long careers, but some of them, they're gone. Was Strasburg, did he retire because of his arm? I mean, what was the deal?
Yeah, I mean, he had 12 more years, in my understanding, but I don't really think after that World Series run, I mean, I know the Nationals got another title, but he just didn't seem to me to have that prominence after that.
Yeah.
And interesting. If you told a GM now that somebody pitched 483 in a third inning in 2 years, you'd have to give them CPR.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is in those 2 years, he averaged an ERA of 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dang good. And speaking of pitching, my girl Lily for Spring Garden last night
Nice.
whoops Costa Christian 15-0 run rules them. And we get ready to go, and my wife says, "What have you put in the back seat of this car?" And I said, "It is a gigantic boom box, like one of the shoulder mounted ones." Yeah.
Old school.
And she said, "And you bought a pair of glasses with a skull and crossbones on them?" I said, "Yep, sure did." So when I hit the button on that thing and played Wild Thing, Rick Vaughn, my wife said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm crossing up Major League and Say Anything John Cusack."
Oh.
Got a lot of laughs out of it, but she is lighting the bases up. I mean, she is tearing it up, and I did not expect them to do that against Costa Christian. I told them, I said, "Y'all gonna have to let some of these teams score some runs. This driving this far to watch 3 innings is getting a little old."
There you go.
Nice little phone call, Brandon.
Appreciate you holding, man.
Yeah. I just saw this.
As far as
John Schulman's losing his freshman sensation point guard Lane Taylor.
Uh-oh. Is that the one that got hurt, though?
Yeah, he was. When we talked to him up at Lipscomb, he was fearing that he would go into the portal. That he was fearing that he was going to lose him. He's in the portal now. Yeah. 17 points a game.
Yeah, he only had him for the first part of the season.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Major basketball. Tommy Murr's that eligibility coach. Sorry.
Oh, UAH is out of eligibility.
Well, I mean, they're hitting the portal.
They're hitting a lot of things.
Yeah.
They're hitting a lot of things. Let's get a break in. Wrap it all up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck on the Parkway northbound. They've got the number 3 lane blocked off. Got a couple of big trucks involved in that one. It's right on the ramp where you exit off to go to University Drive. At westbound 72 on top of Chapman, that's right before it becomes 565. 31 and Rosie Road in Limestone County, and Gordon Terry and West Morgan in Decatur all may still be working. The 41st annual Bloomin' Festival, Art, Craft, Music, and Food Festival coming up on April 5th and 6th at St. Bernard and Coleman, a Southeast top tourist event with over 150 artists and craftsmen. You could win a 2025 Buick Encore GX at the Bloomin' Festival, St. Bernard in Coleman. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan, the right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green. John Kendall, the Vice President of Mortgage, with me. John, when they need a loan, and I say they, when people need a loan, it's about them.
That's right, Scott. Our whole motto is it's all about you. We're going to be okay. You're the one making the investment. We want to make sure that you're taken care of.
How do they find you?
Give us a call at 256-507-9180, or they can catch us online at bankoffrankewing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green, where they take the home loan to you and they make it all about you. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDI insured bank, as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So did you see this story? I know we've talked a lot of basketball, but spring football wise, Deion Sanders.
Oh, you mean about the spring game being on ESPN2 or whatever?
No, he's actively trying to he really wants to bring in another team.
Yeah, I saw
scrimmage.
That too. He wants another team like the NFL, practice against them for 3 or 4 days, play them in the spring game, keep score, all that.
Yesterday on X or Twitter, Dino Babers from Syracuse said, let's make it happen.
Wow. So he wants to play Colorado?
So he said that Syracuse, Dino Babers on X, said Syracuse he's like, let's make it happen. We'll come out there for 3 or 4 days.
Get out of the snow and
go to Colorado. I mean, is that
go to more snow?
Would that pique your interest a little bit more for college spring football? If let's say Alabama got, I'm just going to throw, I'm just trying to think like a mid-major type of program.
Well, or another, if you, for example, you bring Bill Belichick in North Carolina. Yeah.
There you go.
That would, that's another Power 4 program. Sure, it would create a lot of interest, and the game doesn't count, but you could go up against someone else.
What if Georgia Tech just drove over to Auburn, or Auburn drove over to Georgia Tech for 3 days? I mean, I'm thinking of distances that wouldn't cost a lot. You could easily do it pretty simple, not make a huge travel deal out of it, but go for 3 days, do a 3-day practice and a scrimmage type of game and be
I'm
done.
all for it once they get this revenue sharing done and get these contracts signed where these peckerheads can't jump from one school to the other, every year.
So you go, if you're Syracuse, you go and you look good, and Deion says, well, I'll buy you. I'll come over here and we'll pay you, and you can just do some inter-trading among teams.
Yeah, I mean, and then that way, and if you don't produce, maybe you don't get your check.
What is it? No soup for you?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I don't mind guys getting paid, but you're not going to be a slug either, where you don't want to practice and you don't, you don't produce. You still got to earn your money. I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing. It's name, image, and likeness. You need to produce and get paid, and then and there can be a salary scale where you're going to get something. Everybody's going to get something, but I'm talking about getting paid, 6 figures. I mean, everybody's not getting 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? That's just the bottom line. And then they shouldn't be getting paid in high school at all. There needs to be something done nationally. These kids can barely drive a car. They don't need to be getting $2,000 purses for their moms and driving Maseratis. And then they're on their 3rd school at Sacramento State because they couldn't cut it at whatever the hell that quarterback's name was that couldn't win the starting job at USC, and then fell on his face at freaking Boise State. Don't even know where. I think he's at Sac State or somewhere like that now. Definitely off the beaten path.
And then one other thing to mention today, because it is the GOAT. 30 years ago today, we got the facts, and all it said in 2 words is,
I'm back.
I'm back.
The greatest player of all time. Not LaDom, not LaFlop. who says he has a groin injury and then is at his son's high school game dancing around like they've remade the breakdancing movies again because he's over there high-fiving everybody because he's taken another day off. No, we're talking about a dude that at 40 years old played all 82 games because he was the best player that ever laced him up, not LaDum. That's all I got to say about that. Stone Cold used to say.
That's it. That's all you're going to say.
Yep. I mean, he's the greatest player of all time. I mean, there is not a debate. There's never going to be one. Michael would destroy LeBron James, and there's no question about it. These idiot millennials who talk about his longevity. It's easy to have longevity when you play 50 games and you take time off all the time and there's no physicality in the game. And then you're looking at this clown every game acting like somebody's broken his jaw and they don't even touch him.
I've seen a couple of those clips.
I mean, it's an
over the past couple
joke.
weeks. Those have been some new clips. Yes.
Right. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, and I think a lot of the old school guys are just tired of seeing it. I think they are. And then what he's done with Bronny, and I feel bad for Bronny because I think Bronny should have stayed in school. I think he was a good high school player, but I don't think he was a McDonald's All-American. I think he was a player that should have played 4 years of college basketball, become a good player, and then had a potential to play in the G League and work his way up or go overseas. I think he has talent, but there's no way in hell he should be on the Los Angeles Lakers. And, and LeBron's generation is ruining the NBA. There's just no question that it is. That you can argue all you want, but most of the people that argue watch Jordan on YouTube and have no idea what the hell they're looking at. Or even Kobe, for that matter, for God's sake. May he rest in peace.
Or Larry Bird, too.
Or
right?
Larry Bird, yeah, who would be a role player, some of these idiots say today. Larry Bird's better than LeBron James on his worst day.
Oh, see, I knew that wasn't all you had to say.
Only one thing LeBron could do better than Larry Bird, and that's jump. Larry Bird could shut his eyes and beat him in horse.
All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
I'm here with Vice President of Mortgage from Bank of Frank Ewing, John Kendall. And John, if you're hearing this commercial right now and you're thinking of getting a new house, boy, oh boy, do you guys have a deal.
We do. It's a grant. $25,000 if you're a veteran, $20,000 if you're not a veteran. This can be used for closing costs, down payment.
Very simple. All you have to do is